Welcome to this lesson on symmetry and congruence. These are key geometry concepts on the LANTITE that test your ability to recognize symmetrical properties of shapes and determine when shapes are congruent or similar. By the end of this lesson, you will be confident identifying lines of symmetry, working out rotational symmetry, and distinguishing between congruent and similar shapes. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to find and draw lines of symmetry in common shapes, determine how many times a shape maps onto itself during a full rotation, identify when two shapes are congruent, meaning they are identical in size and shape, and understand the difference between similar shapes and congruent shapes. A line of symmetry divides a shape into two halves that are mirror images of each other. If you imagine folding the shape along that line, both halves would match up exactly. Different shapes have different numbers of lines of symmetry. A square has 4, an equilateral triangle has 3, a rectangle has 2, and a circle has infinitely many. On the LANTITE, you may be asked to draw lines of symmetry or count how many a given shape has. A shape has rotational symmetry if you can rotate it around its center, and it looks exactly the same before you have completed a full 360-degree turn. The order of rotational symmetry tells you how many times the shape maps onto itself during one complete rotation. For example, a square has rotational symmetry of order 4 because it looks the same after 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and 360 degrees. An equilateral triangle has order 3. Every shape has at least order 1 because a full rotation always brings it back. Let's work through an example. A teacher draws a regular hexagon and asks students to find all the lines of symmetry. A regular hexagon has 6 equal sides and 6 equal angles. Lines of symmetry can pass through opposite vertices or through the midpoints of opposite sides. That gives us 3 lines through vertices and 3 lines through midpoints, for a total of 6 lines of symmetry. A useful rule to remember is that a regular polygon with n sides always has exactly n lines of symmetry. So, a regular pentagon has 5, an equilateral triangle has 3, and so on. Here is a LANTITE-style question. A student is shown the letter H and asked whether it has rotational symmetry. To work this out, imagine rotating the letter H about its center point. After 180 degrees, it looks exactly the same. After 360 degrees, it returns to the original position. That means it maps onto itself 2 times during one full rotation, so the letter H has rotational symmetry of order 2. Letters are a popular way the LANTITE tests rotational symmetry. Other letters with order 2 include I, N, S, X, and Z. Two shapes are congruent if they are exactly the same size and same shape. It does not matter if one has been flipped, rotated, or slid to a different position. As long as you could pick one up and place it exactly on top of the other, they are congruent. To check congruence, you need all corresponding sides to be equal in length, and all corresponding angles to be equal in size. On the LANTITE, shapes may be shown in different orientations to test whether you can still recognize that they are congruent. Now let's look at the difference between similar and congruent shapes. Similar shapes have exactly the same shape, but may be different sizes. All corresponding angles are equal, and corresponding sides are in the same ratio. Congruent shapes are actually a special case of similarity, where the scale factor is exactly 1, meaning they are the same size as well. Think of it this way. All congruent shapes are similar, but not all similar shapes are congruent. A photocopy at 100% is congruent to the original, but a photocopy enlarged to 200% is similar, but not congruent. Let's work through a LANTITE-style problem. A teacher cuts out 4 triangles. Triangle A has sides 5, 7, and 9 centimeters. Triangle B has sides 9, 5, and 7 centimeters. Triangle C has sides 5, 7, and 10. Triangle D has sides 10, 14, and 18. To find congruent pairs, we compare side lengths. The order does not matter because the triangle could be rotated or flipped. Triangles A and B both have sides 5, 7, and 9, so they are congruent. Triangle C has a 10 instead of a 9, so it is not congruent to A or B. Triangle D is interesting because its sides are exactly double those of triangle A. That means D is similar to A with a scale factor of 2, but not congruent because it is a different size. Here are some common mistakes to watch out for. First, symmetry does not depend on orientation. A rotated square still has 4 lines of symmetry. Second, do not confuse diagonals with lines of symmetry. A rectangle's diagonals are not lines of symmetry because folding along a diagonal does not produce matching halves. Third, shapes that look similar may not be congruent. 2 squares of different sizes are similar but not congruent. Fourth, every shape maps onto itself after a full 360-degree rotation. But we only say a shape has rotational symmetry if the order is 2 or more. Order 1 means no special rotational symmetry. Now it is your turn. Pause the video and try these 6 problems. Problem 1. How many lines of symmetry does an isosceles triangle have? Problem 2. What is the order of rotational symmetry of a regular octagon? Problem 3. A shape looks the same after a rotation of 90 degrees. What is its order of rotational symmetry? Problem 4. Are 2 circles with radii 3 cm and 5 cm congruent, similar, or neither? Problem 5. A rectangle has sides 4 cm and 6 cm. How many lines of symmetry does it have? And problem 6. Triangle P has sides 8, 8, and 5 cm, and triangle Q has sides 8, 5, and 8 cm. Are they congruent? Check your answers on the screen. Let's recap the key ideas. Line symmetry means a line divides a shape into 2 mirror image halves. A regular polygon with n sides always has n lines of symmetry and rotational symmetry of order n. Rotational symmetry counts how many times a shape maps onto itself during a full rotation. Congruent means the same shape and same size, even if one is flipped or rotated. Similar means the same shape, but possibly a different size, with all angles equal, and sides in proportion. On the LANTITE, always check all side lengths and angles carefully before deciding whether shapes are congruent. The order the sides are listed in does not matter because the shape might be rotated or reflected.